I remember when, Apollo 11 took place and Neil and Buzz took those first walks on the moon. And, I didn't think to myself at the time that this is something that was achievable to me. I was pretty young, however, but, and I don't like telling the story too much with my daughter Charlotte in the audience because I have to say that,
well, now you have to.
Yeah, about, I wasn't the greatest student growing up. And despite my efforts, I still managed to graduate in the bottom half of my high school class. And went on to college, and I was walking across campus one day, and I went into the bookstore to buy gum or potato chips or something, not a book. And I saw this book on the shelf, and it was red, white, and blue, and it had a title that, to me looked like it was very positive, moving direction. It just really caught my eye, and I picked it up and I started looking through it. And it was a book about the early Mercury and Gemini, and that became the Apollo astronauts and the fighter pilots and test pilots that were these guys. And the book was the right stuff. And I took it back to my dorm room, and I was paging through it, and it was probably one of the first books I ever bought and ever read, especially a book that I didn't have to. And I recognized traits in these guys that I felt like I had in myself. Despite being this 18-year-old kid who couldn't pay attention and was in the wrong college and got there by accident. So I decided, like right then and there, I'm gonna try to be like one of these guys. I didn't know how, but I was gonna try. So what I did was I just approached it at very, very small steps. I started, trying to go to class more and doing my homework and studying. Eventually I changed classes, or changed schools, changed majors, got into a program that had Navy ROTC, eventually got commissioned in the United States Navy and went to flight school. And I just tried to do as good as I possibly could at every little step along the way, that if you thought about it, from 18-year-old kid where I was to where I was at the end of my career at NASA, that's a pretty, that's a giant leap. But what it was really just a bunch of small little manageable steps and a lot of effort along the way that allowed me to do something and achieve something that was really hard and, very rewarding.